Pozdrav i dobrodošli u još jedan EU podcast za tebe u kome govorimo o kulturi, važnosti kulture za Evropu, Europsku uniju i Srbiju i o tome o kulturnoj razmjeni u Evropi, a naša gošća je Zamenica šefa Delegacije Europske unije u Srbiji. Thanks for joining us at first and first question, which EU value you appreciated the most?
Thank you. That's a difficult question. It's a bit like choosing which one of your kids you prefer. They, of course, all of equal importance, but maybe as someone who was born before the Berlin Wall was torn down, I would start with freedom. Mm-hmm. Of course, the freedom of movement that we all enjoy, and including Serbian citizens after the visa liberalization, but also individual freedoms. Mm-hmm. Freedom of expression, freedom of media, something that we actually had the opportunity to discuss a lot today. Freedom also to choose who we love, who do we decide to spend our life with. Mm-hmm. So I will start with this one. And let me also add maybe, I think, equally important value, it's equality. Equality for all of us, all human beings, equality between men and women. I've been doing a lot of events on gender equality since my arrival 9 months ago. And it's a subject that we keep on talking a lot, but we still fail to see a tangible change on the ground. So this is also a topic which is very dear to my heart.
Okay, maybe we'll have time to talk about it. Another one, we often talk about how the EU will improve Serbia, but let's change it. How Serbia can improve the EU? What do you think?
Well, first of all, I'm really happy that we finally also talk about this. Mm-hmm. I think it's important that when we talk, we don't talk only to Serbian citizens in the region, but we also address the citizens of the European Union who have the final say. So I think it's very important. For me, it's clear that it's in our mutual interest, in joint interest. Of course, from so many points of view, starting with security, joint challenges such as migration, but also global challenges such as climate change. We have just managed to finally exit through of the coronavirus crisis, and all these challenges and their global nature showed us that we are better united, mm-hmm. and that we can only address them if we act together.
And let's talk about culture in that context.
Yes.
In what way culture is an opportunity for Serbia and EU to improve cooperation in general? What should be done?
What should be done? I mean, I think we should start with already what is done, and I think culture it's one of the sectors where we see that Serbia and the region as a whole is already fully plugged in the European Union system. And we had the opportunity to discuss about many programs that we already have in place where Serbia is achieving outstanding results. And I think this is not a coincidence. Serbia and the whole region has a long tradition in creative industries. I remember that my late father-in-law used to tell me that how the living theater came into Yugoslavia in the 60s when barely anybody knew them outside New York. And how his entire generation thought that they became successful only after they received the seal of approval of the Yugoslav generation at the time. And I think this is fantastic, and it just shows how much this region has to offer, and this is what we're trying to do to enable even more opportunities and cherish this talent.
What about the Creative Europe? Why is this so significant?
Creative Europe, it's very significant because it's basically the main engine of EU support to culture. And Serbia and the rest of Western Balkan countries participate in the program under the same conditions as EU member states. And what you have proven, what Serbia has proven, is that you're very competitive. You've been very successful in this program, which once again I think showcase the talent which exists in Serbia and in the region as a whole. Since we were discussing some figures this morning, but since 2014, more than 150 organizations have absorbed more than 12 million euros of EU granted support. And we have seen that this support has also been recognized internationally with several Serbian films. We have received international awards. Same goes for a number of festivals, etc. So I think what is important to bear in mind that Creative Europe is not just about the financial support. For me, it's even more importantly, it's a networking opportunity. It allows you to recreate these links between cultural actors in Europe, which are already there, but we're just trying to support them even further and foster these links.
And culture is a good way to start, of course.
Of course.
Have you been introduced to some of the EU projects in culture in Serbia?
Actually, I had the privilege, together with my colleagues, deputy heads of EU missions in Belgrade, we paid a trip to eastern Serbia last week, and we had the opportunity to visit the recently refurbished Fetislam fortress. We also had the opportunity just a few days before to visit with my colleagues from the EU delegation. We had a team building event in Golubac fortress, which also recently regained its splendor thanks to EU financial support. And I'm mentioning this too just to also show that it's not only about the creative industry, it's also about the cultural heritage, where Serbia has so much to offer, and also to show that it's not only about culture is not only about identities and building connections, it's also about economic benefits. Because of course this refurbished cultural sites will bring more employment opportunities, more income for the local population. So this is an aspect we should not forget, also bearing in mind the growing share of the creative industries in the world GDP. So this is something that we should really also take into consideration.
Maybe festivals. The good point to talk about growing GDP. Have you ever been to some of them in Serbia?
Yes, as I mentioned, I've been here 9 months, and it's one of the biggest difficulty I have discovered since I've been in Belgrade is to which cultural event to go in the evening. There is so much to choose from. So it's also not easy to single several of them, but let me start for family reasons with maybe Bitev. As I mentioned earlier, my late father-in-law, who used to tell me like he and his entire generation grew up on Bitev, and I think it continues to be a cultural institution well known beyond the borders of this region. I also had the opportunity to open recently the Beldox festival, where I also enjoyed some of the projections together with my family. Also, of course, the Fest festival in Belgrade. There's so many, it's difficult to single out. And also for family reasons, I need to also refer to Guitar Art Festival. Then the list goes on. It's a very long list. But let me also say that, because we talk a lot about the culture, and I think that it's easy for cultural actors to sometimes feel misunderstood. But I think it's also part of their role to be at the forefront and to introduce new ideas, new possibilities. It's part of, in a way, part of their job description to challenge the status quo. And I think we should empower them in this role. And this is what culture is all about.
How?
Through opportunities like those that we have discussed, and we'll have the opportunities to present today.
Okay. So the last question for today is, why are we better together?
Well, we talked about this also earlier. Global challenges, we can barely face them alone, and I think the option of being alone is an illusion, if you ask me, in today's world. So for me, it's the only option and the only way we can face the challenges ahead and build a better Europe together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ovo je još jedan EU podcast za tebe. Razgovarali smo o kulturi sa zamenicom šefa delegacije EU u Srbiji.